and the 7300 came along, and I'll tell you, for what you're getting in the radio at the price point, you just can't beat it. Of course, after the fact, I kicked myself for not buying the model up. I can't think of the model number off the top of my head, but just the technology is great. I'm more into the rag chewing than I am with the digital modes and everything, but it's nice to know that you have that capability, going forward, and they make everything expandable and updatable and all that good stuff. But it's been great fun so far. I always joke, being newer to the hobby, that I always thought the hardest part was going to be learning all the buttons and all the functions of the radio, but you come to learn real quick that where you want to spend your time learning is with your audio and especially with your antennas. So I've had really good luck with the inverted D dipole. It was the first and only setup I've had thus far. So I look forward to trying some new things out, but that's half the fun of the hobby. Over.
Well, I think that's all the fun in it. I guess I've been licensed for 40 years. I got my license when I was still in high school, and I've been lucky or lived in the right places at the right times in the solar cycles and stuff. I've just been able to do things that I guess that some people just think are hard, or at the time I guess people thought they were hard. I used to live out in Arizona in the mountains up near Flagstaff, and I had I think it was 268 foot or 267, something like that, 160 meter wires up, and I would just sit there and work into the South Pacific at will on 160, and it was just amazing. And sometimes that was when I was much younger in college. I sit here and wish I had the radios now and lived there. You didn't have the resources, or really the technology didn't exist to have that kind of equipment. I was running old hot water 101s and FT 101 Zulu Deltas back in the 80s and 90s. And the good radios did a good job, but I would love to have this technology in that location back. It was a lot of fun out there. Over.
I hope I'm not doubling with you. I think you faded off a little bit into the noise there. Being out in Arizona, I'm sure you had plenty of room for that type of thing. I lucked out here as well. Haven't had a time nor opportunity or gumption to put up some longer wire antennas. That's something I'd like to play around with going forward. And you mentioned the solar cycle. Yeah, I'm very aware that we are in the lull at this point. But the way I figure is having great fun now with it, and it can only get better in the years coming. I hear different stories as to whether it's going to be as good as the last cycle or the cycle prior to that. But I'll take anything at this point. At least in my area, 20 meters has been a little on the dead side. Haven't heard a whole lot of traffic out there. But 40 meters seems to be doing pretty well most days and most nights. Of course, it has its good times and bad times. But again, so much to learn, so much fun to have, and making great contact is always fun.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely agree. I mean, the theory is that this cycle will be a little bit less than the last one, but I guess I kind of look at it and say, I've already, when I sat down here about, it was right around 11 o'clock tonight, the first 7 stations I worked were all Europeans. So, I mean, you just got to know when to be where, and you can work them, and they're out there. You can do what you want to do. It's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time with the right, frequency and stuff. And, you said earlier about antennas and stuff. That's a lot of it. I don't have a lot of big beams, or I don't have any beams, actually, here at the home. I do contesting where I get to play with other people's equipment, and I got plenty of beams there. But here it's just modest wires. And there's some wire antennas out there that you ought to look at. Some loops, German loops or German quads, different people call them, that you can get up on relatively small footprints, and they only have to be up about 25 foot. And they put out a good signal on 80 through 20 or even 10 meters if it opens up. They don't have to be high. and they're only, I want to say, 30 or 40 foot aside. So a lot of small lots can support them. It's just a matter, do you have the trees in the right places? So yeah, look through the antenna handbook, and you can find some really creative antennas that put out good signals. Like I run a G5RV. I've got about 2 acres here. So I've got 105 or 102 foot antenna. I've got it up 80 because I've got too many trees. I'd like to cut some down so I can have more antennas because the trees get in the way. But I'm thinking about putting up a 160 meter vertical, so running something up a tree 100 and maybe 120, 130 feet. Because I've got a couple of trees that tall, or even bend it over at 90 foot and make it an inverted L, and see what we can do on 160 by putting down some radials. Because I do like that band, and 6 meters is always fun. You can get a modest antenna there and have fun with that, and that's usually a good summertime band, so be looking for that. And there's lots of fun to be had.
Picking up the large out of it. Luckily, I have some creative, but anything else, it's always a matter of finding and the finances. The solar cycle, you can only, well, from my experience of being on the air, you can only get a whole month. So certainly looking forward to that. I don't think it'll ever be as good as what my grandfather was doing. But in the late 50s and 60s, it was just a fantastic for the solar cycle and propagation. November 9, Delta. We're trying to figure out the problem.
Yeah, no, I think the solar cycle right around 2000 was good. The one right before that was good. As we may never get to see those again, but you know what? There's still fun to be had out there on all the modes. And if you haven't looked into the digital modes, WSJTX is a program out of Princeton, and FT8 and FT4 are really, really fun, and you can work the world even right now on about 5 watts with any antenna. So lots of things going on out there to have fun with. But you're right, the band is fading, and you said I faded out the last time, and you were down significantly that time. So we'll say 73, Sean, and hopefully we can chat again. Kilowatt Charlie 3, Oscar Bravo Alpha, November 9, Delta Delta.
So, really do appreciate it. But, good luck. Hope you make more good uses, and we'll keep the air up for you. So, 73 for now, November 9.
73s and good morning. Have a great holiday weekend. KC3 OBA and N9DD. QRZ, anyone, anywhere. This is November 9, Delta Delta, Atlanta, Georgia. CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ calling CQ calling CQ. This is November 9, Delta Delta, November 9, Denmark, Denmark. Norway 9, Delta Delta, November 9, Delta Delta calling CQ and listening. CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ. Anyone, anywhere, everyone, everywhere. This is November, November 9, Delta, Delta. Norway, Norway 9, Denmark, Denmark. November, November 9, Delta, Delta calling CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ calling CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ. Anyone, anywhere, everyone, everywhere. This is November, November 9, Delta, Delta. November, November 9, Delta, Delta calling CQ.
Delta, you got the Kilo America 5, Delta Oscar Bravo.
Kilo America 5, Delta Oscar Bravo. Very nice signal. Name here is Mike, Mexico, India, Kilowatt Echo. We're located in Stockbridge, Georgia. That's about 25 miles straight south of downtown Atlanta. And once again, the call was November, November 9, Delta, Delta. Double N9, double D. Over.
Yeah, I have a little trouble hearing you. There's an AM station trying to talk over you. Let me look for a plain spot. Hold on. Can we do this by the 220, 220? Would that be okay? Do you want clear? I'll meet you up there.
Alrighty, let's run up to 7220 and then 9DD QSY to 7220.
Okay, 7220, KE5, Delta Oscar Bravo, guess what? Okay, yes, KE5, you'll be standing by. I think your name was Mike.
Yep, name here is Mike, Mexico, India, Kilowatt Echo Mike, and I didn't type yours in. I don't, or did? Is it KA50DOB?
Okay, I just got the bass skewed out of your voice. So get the extreme bass in your voice, and I think it's skewed to the propagation of this thing here. Let me look at a mixed service map, and you are in Atlanta. Yep, I'm talking up and down a big, huge front. Looks like a snake. It starts at Lubbock, Texas, goes across Houston, New Orleans, and about the Panhandle of Florida. And that's at the lower end of looks like Georgia or Alabama. So there's one. That's the basic most of the base. What radio do you have?
We are running a Flex Radio 6500. No, I'm sorry, a 6600 into a G5 RV, 102 foot long, up about 80 foot. We do have, had to look back and make sure it was actually on, the amplifier on, so we're putting out about 400 watts right now into a G5 RV. Over?
Okay, a lot of lightning up going through up here in Texas to hear you. You say it's 500 watts?
We're running about 400 watts, 400 watts.
Well, that's helping you to get through, otherwise I wouldn't even hear you. Yeah, it's tremendous what's the whole storm going on in Texas right now. My name is Jimmy, J-I-M-Y, and the call here was Kilo America 5, Delta Oscar Bravo, or Denmark Ocean, Boston. And we're located 25 miles east of White Sands, New Mexico, in the Southern Desert, or 60 miles north of El Paso, Texas. We are in New Mexico. Talking on a TS-890 here at a year and a half, running about 1,300 watts out of a 1306 solid state amp into a Buckmaster 7-band antenna. All center fed, and we run it north and south because it's all center fed, talks mostly off the sides. Go ahead.
Well, it's doing good. It sounds absolutely fantastic, and it's your second 890 I've heard talk to this evening, and they both sounded really, really good. So seems to be a good radio. I've never operated an 890. Played a lot with 590s and some 2000s, but that 890 sounds like a good radio based on what I've heard tonight. Over.
Yeah, they do have a good receiver. It's just a single receiver, but we have an SDR. We branched off on the back of the radio. It has a feature where you plug in an extra radio. And so we have the little RSP2 SDR module, the little small square box, hooked up on our monitor screen here. So we have the entire band laid out all the way across whatever band we're on. We see the entire band, and we see the spaces between the stations where we can click the QS wire and call CQ, or I can go down through and listen to 5 or 6 QSOs just in half a minute or so. So it's a pretty cool feature. I'm really impressed with that as a kind of a second receiver. But of course, naturally, the 890 has a better receiver and better noise floor noise. But kind of a buzzing sound, some kind of buzzing all the way across the band. I guess it's atmospheric. It happened about 5 or 10 minutes ago, and I went back to 20 and back down here, and it cleared up, whatever it was. Strange. And my noise collector, or noise reduction's up on 10, highest it'll go, and it wouldn't filter that noise out, so I don't know what the deal is. Okay, well, you probably sound great. It's just these talking up down this front, it raises the treble, so I had to cut back on the bass 300 hertz to get there where you sound kind of normal. But I have had this happen before talking to a guy in Florida when I first got back in ham radio about 15 years ago, and I thought it was his radio, and the guy in New York come on and said, "Oh no, he sounds like high fidelity up here at your radio." So I pulled up this thing called a current mixed circuit analysis map. It's on the bottom of my 17-page QRZ page with about 4 or 5 other links you might want to go down and look at where you see that front. There's kind of a dark bunch of lines on this map in certain places, and those are squall lines, SQALL squall lines, and those is where warm air and cool air is pushed together, and if anything, they actually enhance and help our audio. Like sometimes, if you see one on your state and the other state you're talking to, you'll get a pipeline signal. It's really pretty strange. It's real strange the way these fronts look. We've got a vertical front and a horizontal front at the same time. I've never seen that. So, anyway, yeah, it's under Kilo American 5, Delta Oscar Bravo, and I had you as November 9. Let's see, was it Delta Romeo, or did I get that wrong?
Kilowatt Alpha 5 Delta Oscar Bravo, November 9, Delta. It's a double N, 9 double D. Great call sign for CW. Gets to be a tongue twister with voice sometimes, but a great call sign for CW. But I just pulled up your QRZ page, and looks like you got a nice hex beam down there. And what do you got on top of the tower and back is... I see it. Look, what might be a couple of dipoles on it, but wonder what you're doing with the tower in the back. Over.
We lost propagation. I think your name was Mike. You were a 5.9 with static, and now you're down in the static. Let's see if you come back up. Hold on, Mike.
All right, we'll try it again. Yeah, no, you're dropping off a little bit too, but. That's just this time of night. No, I was just saying I was looking at your QRZ page and wondering what you were doing with the tall tower in the back. I can't see any HF beams up on top of it, so I think I see a dipole or two maybe on it, but wondering what you were doing with that. Over.
What am I doing with what?
The big tower behind the house, the big tower by the barn. Over.
Okay, that looks like a vertical. A lot of people ask me, they think it's a vertical or a tower. If it looks like a tower, that's actually a ribbon lead coming down on a T5RV, and that's a 50-foot push-up fiberglass mast holding up the T5RV. But about 5 years ago, we changed that out and couldn't get it all to put it all the way up, so it's 45 feet tall now, and it holds up a Buckmaster off-center fed antenna. It's 90 foot going south and 45 foot going north. And it talks in a big oblong circle, and by running it north and south, it talks mostly off the side, so it hits east coast to west coast really well. I've had real good luck with it. It talks up a storm. It's got good receive, but it also sure receives these lightning strikes. QRM there. I think it was what's your name again?
Name here is Mike, Mexico, India, Kilowatt Echo, Mike. And yeah, no, fine business on the antenna. Where you're located east to west is a great antenna. You can cover the country from there. I used to live out in Flagstaff up in northern Arizona, a few 300 or 400 miles away, I suppose. But I love the Southwest. I'm looking at that sunset going, man, I miss that. Used to have the mountain view and the sunsets like that every day. Over.
Yeah, they do have beautiful sunsets out here. Sometimes we're still waiting to better sunset in my picture with that Buckmaster, big old Buckmaster 6-to-1 ballot, 3,000 watt ballot up there on top of the thing. But so far the sunset's incorporated. I guess maybe it's just not the time of year. I can't remember if it was spring or fall when they took that picture. But I remember it was 7:15 in the afternoon. It was almost dark, so it probably was fall. So we'll wait and see. Maybe someday we'll get that a good picture. My wife just put the antenna up, 2 guys did. And I have arthritic knees. I can't climb ladders anymore or towers. But she said, I think it's going to be a pretty sunset. I think I'll go out there to the country road and see if I'd take a picture of it. She zoomed in on it partially and snapped about 15 pictures. And that was about this one. So kind of proud of that picture. I've had a lot of good comments on it. And you can look at my page. I have a KIO hex beam up 40 feet on 20 meters, and I turned the whole mast. I have a Yaesu rotor at the base. I show pretty well detailed pictures how I did that, except I couldn't find 2 sets of guy rings, so I had to use some elevator bushings for the top of the little PVC cover, the little gray PVC cover on all the 3 sections that are guide. I use 4 guys per section. And we had 4 people holding the guys with 1 foot slack in them. When the 2 fellas on the 12-foot ladder pulled that thing up straight. So anyway, it works. So far, so good. I make pretty good contacts with it too for the X. November 9. I still didn't get your name, doggone it. Let's see. November 9, Delta, I think you say. Yeah, Thomas, is that right?
Negative. Yeah, no, the name here is Mike, Mexico, India, kilowatt echo, Mike, as in, trying to think of anybody famous, just Mike, like the microphone, Mike, Mexico, India, kilowatt echo, over.
Well, I'm an old timer. They used to have a Mickey the Microphone show of all names for a TV show for kids. So, yeah, I don't actually copy phonetics past 2, maybe 3 letters at the most. It confuses me. So I go like I'm Jimmy, Jimmy, and you're Mike, Mike. It's easy to hear on these radios because of the good audio. But phonetics, it kind of drags it out sometimes right into the QRM. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. Sometimes these guys start throwing their phonetics out so fast, it's like you can't process the word fast enough because they use, when they use the standard phonetics, I'm great with it. I do a lot of contesting, so I can take that down. It's when people start getting creative and throwing out their own fun ones that it's like you're killing yourself because then I got to process what you said to pull it together, and you fall behind, just like you said there. So absolutely agree with you. But yeah, no, that hex beam, I've never really used one. I'm very intrigued by them though, because I don't really want to put up big steel here at my house, and I got plenty of room for a hex beam in the woods, and I'm intrigued by them because they seem to, everybody I've talked to on one, they all have great signals, and I guess I want to believe it's the antenna, not just the fact that they're running a big amp or something, and they seem like they really work. Over.
I didn't get the last word.
I was just saying those antennas seem like they really work. That hex beam looks like it really works. Over.
Oh, man, does it ever. If you ever get a hex beam, I like the KI over it myself, but you want to make sure when you put the center post to the hub, you'll make sure you use a good quality Loctite. And I actually have used JB weld with the red and the black. It mixed it to gray, and I actually glued my center post to my hub and then tightened up the other screws with Loctite. I let it dry 2 days before I put it up because I had previously put it up with nothing on it. And the center post gets loose with these gusty winds we have out in the desert. Next thing you know, it's tilting down about a foot on the horizon. And you sure don't want that if you're talking DX. You want it to be nice and level. So when we put it back up, it's nice and level. All the wires are nice and tight. Looks factory brand new every time I look at it when we turn it in the driveway, thank God. So, and it does perform well. The hex beam with all of the bands gives you 5.5 dB gain, which don't sound like a lot, but the effective radiated power is 4 times what you're putting in it. So if you're putting 1,000 in, you get 4,000 affected out on the front of the antenna, and it brings everybody about 10 or 15% closer to you when you point it to them. So it's got a double, it's double standard when you work it like that. It's a really nice antenna, and sometimes I can go over to my off-center fed antenna on 20 meters, and I can't hardly even hear a signal. And I turn over to the beam and point it to them, and bingo, wait to have a QSO. So it's pretty amazing. Back to you, Mike. In November 9th, Delta, Kilo Alpha 5, Delta Oscar Bravo.
Kilowatt Alpha 5, Delta Oscar Bravo, November 9, Delta returning. Yeah, no, that's what I've heard is they just work. I think I ought to just sell all my stuff and buy a 7300 and a hex beam because it seems like they just work. But I couldn't do it. I love my pan adapter on my Flex, but no, those hex beams they intrigue me because they seem like they are a nice compact compromise antenna. You know, when I want the big steel, I've got the remote stations or the friends with remote stations. I can get it. You know, I just want something to have fun with here at home that puts out a decent signal. And I'm really seriously considering picking up one of those. I've got people, somebody offered me a nice TA-33 Mosley, kind of old new stock, if you will. And I just don't know that I want to put anything that big and, in need up in the air in the neighborhood and, get the neighbors mad and have the maintenance and have to climb the tower and stuff. So I think a hex beam on a push-up pole sounds like a great idea. Back to you, Jimmy. KA5DOB and N9DD.
Okay, Mike. Well, one of the advantages is it weighs 29 pounds with all the elements on it. And a lot of people don't realize, but a regular beam has a horseshoe-shaped type SWR curve. It's a little high on the ends, flat in the middle, but not this one. These are flat pretty well all the way across, like 17 meters is 1.1 all the way across the band. 20 meters, 14,200 is 1.1. The low end is 1.2 on the bottom end of the band. You go to the top end, it's about 1.4 to 1.5. You can't match that with a flat antenna. I don't know what the magic is on the hex beam, but boy, it's really nice. The upper bands, the SWRs vary, but they don't get over 1.8, if I remember correctly. 1.7, 1.8, something like. Even 6 meters down on the call frequency, 5125, you can work barefoot up there. I worked 35 stations in California, Oregon, and Washington, mostly California. Years ago, between 6 and 7 in the evening, it was just 30 minutes. In 30 minutes time, there was a big opening. I don't know what it was on 6 meters, but bingo, just with 100 watts, I had people say, turn down your power, turn down your mic, you're too loud, you're talking too loud, and all this stuff. I was on a little 590 sugar golf, just like I always used it. I had an amplifier, but it would work 6 meters. Of course, it's solid state will, but you don't need it. It's 6 meters, 10 meters did the trick. Just like talking on FM radio, so clear. Boy, there was a big pile of them. I had to go up to 50, 135, 50, 130, 132, 133, kind of spread them out. But that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Just once in a while, this is the month they're supposed to have 6 meters. I haven't seen much 6-meter operation. There's a link down at the bottom of my page where you can actually click on it, and it tells you if there's any 6-meter openings and where in the United States it is without even turning on your radio, which is pretty cool. I forget what they call it. It's DXCC something. I forget. Maps. Not sure. But anyway, it's in those links at the bottom. And November 9, Delta Delta, KA5DOB.
KA5DOB and N9DD returning. Yeah, no, it sounds like a lot of fun. And so what do you got 20 20 through 6 meters. Do you have 17 and 12 on there as well, or just 10, 15, 20, and 6? Over.
Got your pencil ready?
Yep.
Okay. 6, 10, 15, 17, and 20 meters. 5 bands.
So you got a 5-bander. Yeah, no, I know people configure them on all kinds of different things, and I would love to have a 6-meter beam, because I've always liked to do kind of the edgier kind of stuff, the stuff that people say is just too hard to do or can't be done. So 6 meters and 160, I love those bands, because if you can get a good antenna up, you can do some very fun things that people say, how'd you do that? So those are 2 fun bands for me. So I'd love to get an antenna up that could handle 6 meters, because right now I have to tune what I've got with Palstar KT2K, and I can make anything transmit, but it's not really resonant. So you don't hear well, and you don't really put out a good signal. You're just making the radio think it's okay.
You kind of went down on me again. I have 2 questions. I use the LMR 400. It's a pretty good ways out to my antenna. I had to have 150 foot of LMR 400, but I did it because it's so low loss on 6 meters. It works great. I was going to ask you if your processor turned on it. If so, how much processor are you using?
I don't have a processor turned on right now. Let me throw one in and see if it helps at all. Hold on a minute. Hitting the wrong button here. There we go. I just turned in a compressor. Let me know if that brought the signal up a little bit or made it worse, or just changed everything in general. But we turned a processor on there. Over.
Okay, you get on DX?
No, I didn't. I turned on a processor on a piece of outboard audio gear and cranked it up a little bit. Did it make the audio scratchy?
Yeah, it sounds better. A lot cleaner. I can hear your audio much better. I didn't know you'd run in the external processor. Which one are you using?
Oh, it's a Behringer XR12. It's for small studio and kind of live music type work. And I literally was just bored today. I normally don't run any outboard gear on the Flex because, like your 890, it's got a pretty good processor inside. You don't need to do it. And, like I see you got a W2 IHY. That's really all you need for ham radio. You get these big, this thing here is all computer controlled. And you can really make yourself sound pretty terrible in a hurry if you hit the wrong button on this thing. So I don't use it too often with ham radio, but I've got a $25 mic that I literally had in a box that I threw up on the 3rd station today. And I said, let's see what we can do. We got time. So we're running a $25 music store mic with a Behringer XR12 into the Flex. Over.
I got a Behringer 800 near the floor I don't use, but it sounds good. But every mic I put on my radio, I've got 2 or 3 of the high-up mics, but I'm using this ProSet 6 headset, like on my webpage, and it's close to my mouth. And using the Behringer, using the EQ Plus, I've got a noise gate that kills my background noise. I've got 4 little fans turning at 3,000 RPM, but they're only 3 inches each on this amplifier when it gets warm. So that's one of my problems I have. And this noise gate kills it off. I squelch it out, and it allows my voice to go through. And that was my idea. But then the EQ Plus and plus the 8-band equalizer it gives me a voice boost where my voice sounds a little bit cleaner and better than it would normally through the radio and all that. I was going to show you my trebles. Trebles are very critical when the band's noisy like right now. Like I turn my treble back. I turn my trebles back to the point you can't hear me. I turn them up a little bit. This is 2 o'clock. That's 4 o'clock where I usually run it. And this is with my trebles full up, crisp trebles. Probably if I put it right there, you might be able to hear my trebles just a little crisper. Is that true?
Yeah, that's they're more crisp. I mean, that's what I do. I got a deep voice, and I like the lows. I like the rumble a little bit, so I tend to run my lows a little higher. But when I'm running DX, I'll pull the lows down, push the highs up, and you know, kind of tweak the mids so that I don't get mushy in the middle, and just make it a lot of highs and punchy, and it gets through. Over.
Yeah, that's true. Really, your voice right now, and don't turn anything or adjust anything. I'm sure your radio's balanced where your lows and your highs sound balanced, but right now you have a huge excess amount of bass, and I had to tune it out to about 200, maybe 300 hertz of bass, where you sounded normal to me. But like I said again, it's this front. This coup front settled across the coast of the Gulf of Mexico and the land of America, and that erases the trebles, and you only have bass. Plus, it adds boost to your bass. I've seen this 2 or 3 times talking actually up and down these coup fronts, and some guys think it's their radios. I've seen 2 or 3 guys, oh man, your radio's all screwed up. You don't have no trebles. It's all bass. We can't hear you, and you need to adjust it. Not his radio at all. It's just stupid weather conditions. So don't. What you want to do is wait up in the day, and if you see those fronts like on that mixed weather map, or if you're talking straight through a front, that usually don't affect your audio, and you should sound very normal. Of course, you got your mic monitor to prove it's nothing wrong with your radio. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just tweaked it a little bit. Would appreciate any feedback on that. But yeah, it is the setup right now is very bassy. What I'm running is very bassy, so I tweaked it a little bit and took some of the lows out and pushed the highs a little bit. Nothing dramatic. It wasn't a big shift, so hopefully that makes it a little better. But yeah, it's a very bassy setup right now, so it doesn't surprise me that you felt bassy because I think that was what I was running. I've got sound maximizer and a God, what is it? 32 channel EQ on it. So I've been just playing with it all night and trying different things, listening to the remotes and seeing how I sound and tweak it and listen to what people are saying and tweak it. So that's kind of what we're doing tonight is just playing around, Jimmy. KA5 DOB and N9DD.
Okay. Is it N9 or N9?
November, two N's, double N, 9 double D.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, I see those N's fast. I couldn't copy that to static. If you write down your frequencies like around 2400 and 3200 hertz, you probably add 1 or 2 dB to those, and I might be able to hear you a little cleaner.
There, we pushed 21.5 and 3100 up a little bit. Did that help it a little?
Yeah, that brought your trebles up through the static. Yeah, you're a little bit mellow up in that area, but like I say, it's just this cool front messing up the bands. You can put those back when you get through. But right now, tonight, with all this QRM, it does help your audio.
Oh, very good. I appreciate that. And we're like I said, I don't normally hook this equipment up, and after tonight, I may take it all down and never hook it up again. I have an EQ in the house that I use, or in the shack, but I use it mostly for receive. I've got a couple of different radios, and depending on what I want to hear up on the station monitor, I use that little board. It's just a 4-channel board that all my radios feed into, and then I can push whichever one I want or whichever combination of ones I want out through the various speakers I got hooked up. So that's really the only EQ I use in here. Everything else I just run through the Flex or through the radio. But no, that W2IHY, that's a good little setup. It does a good job, and a couple of my friends run them, and they're very successful with them. So that's really all you need to be successful.
Yeah, I've seen these used on CQing.net. There was one they'll see them on QRZ. As low as $400 used for both boxes and only a month or two old. The guys get them and they get frustrated because they can't make them sound good. Well, the reason is you got to be very careful when you adjust the input gain. And the input gain, of course, the output gain you adjust at the top of your ALC. And you do have to turn off your EQ on your transmit EQ. And you also have to turn off your processor. I just said my transmit EQs on for some reason. I wonder why that is. Okay, now turn it off. Maybe you hear me better now. I don't know. Shouldn't have had that on. TXEQ is off and the processor's off when you use the external stuff here. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. Get rid of that. Okay. Now we're back to normal. Does sound about the same? Let me turn this treble back up. There's my treble full up, and there's my treble down a little bit. Does it sound any different?
The sound's a little bit different. The signal stayed punchy all the way through, so no real issues copying and no significant changes in signal strength. I liked where you were at the end and where you were at the beginning when you were going through the phases in the middle. It wasn't quite as crisp audio, but it's good right now, and it was good before.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my trebles up. Now, normally my trebles don't sound this good. Right now, I'm overkill on my treble. But for you to hear me up down this GoPro, it might make my audio just a little cleaner. I had a question, and my question is, do you use a dynamic mic on a flex radio, or do you use a electric like the Icons?
Currently, I've used pretty much all dynamics. I've got a Radio Sport, which I think is an electric, for my headset that I have to pump in some voltage to. But pretty much I run dynamic on everything, over.
Okay. Now, does it have a switch like you can run an electric mic on your Flex if you just want to?
Yeah, there's a setting in there that you can, it depends on the mic. Some of the Flex will supply, I'd have to look, 5 or 9 volts. And some of those mics want 40 volts, so it depends on some of the mics. You got to have that outboard power supply for the mic, and some of them, the Flex will just provide I think it's 9 volts that it'll give them. It just depends on the mic on which ones handle it, over.
Okay, well, my understanding, I'm on frequency. Hold on. Let me get on frequency here. I'm on frequency now. I think I bumped my knob a while ago. We'll lock that in. I'm on 7220 and 30, 7220. I read last night the Icons electric type mics. They don't have a preamp in the radio. They put it in the microphone to supposedly get better audio. And that started way back with Icon years ago, where all the other radios have the preamp built in the radio, and they just run a mic wire to the input of the preamp built in the radio. So that's the difference between the electric type mic. So evidently, if yours had a switch where you can add the electric power, they probably turn the processor off and bypass it in the radio when you have the electric type mic. So it's pretty cool to be able to go both routes with the mic. So sometimes some guys accumulate mics and all different kinds, and they won't work on his radio, but yours they will. That's a nice feature of your Flex radio there. It's Becky Mike in 9 Delta K85 DOP.
Yep, very good. Yeah, no, it's nice. I mean, it does. The Flex. I was always a big box Yaesu guy most of my ham radio career, and seems like I've owned about every Yaesu ever made through the years. And I loved them, but now that I've gone Flex, I really like it. I like seeing what's going on. I mean, you've got the pan adapter. Just seeing what's going on around you is nice. Being able to find a hole when you want a hole to talk on, you can see it. You don't have to go spinning the dial. So it's just nice. I'm kind of spoiled. I don't know that I would ever go back. But it's got a lot of nice features. And the thing with it really is it's pretty easy to use. I don't know if you ever used like a Flex 3000 or a Flex 5000, the earlier models of Flex, and all the things you can tweak with HPSDR, and you can get yourself in a big jam real quick by messing with too many switches there, where with the Smart SDR, there's stuff you can adjust, but it's not as overwhelming as what the old Flex radios used to be. But I do like that it's got some nice features on it, and that it sounds good. And, it's, you got a radio pretty much in the same price point. They get a little pricey, but you get a lot of value out of them. And, you don't have to replace them very often. I think they're radios that are going to last, over.
Roger on that. Well, they're sure nice radio. I know that. There's a lot of them out there. People really like the Flex and the Apache Labs. They're kind of competing with each other, I guess. This 890, TS890 Kenwood, they're down to $3,200, $3,200. And then I think there's talk maybe to find it under $3,000 maybe by the fall of the year. So that's real nice. About 35 or 40 guys wanting those in the 890 forums, but they can't get them because they shut down the 990 factory where they make the 890. So that's a terrible shame, but that's life. That's the way it goes, man. That virus has really messed things up, but I think it's improving. I noticed the stock market really jumped way up. Yesterday it was about 800 points, and today I think it was another 500 or 600. So that's a sign things are turning around. I hope this virus goes away soon. If they get they got one serum now that's supposed to boost the antibodies to fight it off. So, boy, that's going to be great if they get that on the market pretty soon to help save lives. It's sure been terrible. I still think it's man-made. They claim it's not, but I still have a feeling it's man-made. It's too ingenious the way it works and the way it spreads and getting into your lungs that easy. Well, I tell you, I'm an old-timer. I got it, I'd be dead in no time. I can't resist it, something like that. NN9, Delta, K85, DOB.
K85, DOB, November 9, Delta, returning. Yeah, no, it's hard to say. There's a lot of debate, fake or no fake, or, I mean, not necessarily fake, but man-made or animal-made, and I guess I work in healthcare, not necessarily in the medical field, but I work with a lot of medical people, and you kind of get everybody's opinion doing that. It's real. It's a real problem, and how it got created, I guess, at this point, isn't as important as how do we deal with it going forward. So, I don't know. It's I just hope they get this vaccine. There's a couple of them that are showing promise, and I hope they can have a little miracle here and pull one out real quick so that we can get all this behind us and not have to worry about a wave 2 this fall. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that all goes. I just wish them all the best and hope it gets through. But yeah, no, it's good to see the stock market coming back up. That's good for everybody, and hopefully everything with the economy rebounds here quickly, and we can get back to business more normal from a financial standpoint and an unemployment standpoint. But I think it's really going to take a while for some of these industries, airlines, restaurants. I think they're going to be a little slower roll because people, that's a tough sell for some people. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I just hope it doesn't bounce back as hard as they think it might this fall. KA5 DOB, Jimmy out there in New Mexico, November 9, Delta, Mike in Atlanta.
Okay, I'm hearing you good audio coming through a couple of times. Your audio came in real clear. There's a couple of breakers. I don't know who they're after. There was a November breaker. Go ahead, let's see if Mike can hear you there in Georgia. November, where'd you go?
Okay, I got Echo Whiskey Mike in California. Go ahead and complete your call.
Kilo November 6, Whiskey Echo Mike.
Go ahead, Georgia.
Okay, Kilo November 6, Whiskey Echo Mike. I got you out there in California. Name here is Mike. We're over here in Atlanta. You're not all that strong. You're above the noise level, so I guess that's going to give you a 7. And I'm reading you, so we'll put you down for a 5 and 7, but you're in and out a little bit with the noise level. Over.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I heard a 5-7 out there. A 5-7 for me, but I did not get your full call.
The call here is November 9, Denmark. Norway 9, Delta. Over. Roger, roger, roger.
Okay, NN9 Delta Delta. Thank you very much. And I got you right at the noise level at 4-4, a 4-4. How's that?
We'll take it as long as you get heard. I guess that's what's important, right?
As long as you call me for dinner, I'm there. All right, and you're giving me, I'm sorry, 3, was that it? I'm sorry. Come back with my signal.
No, I gave you a 57, a 57, 57, 57, over.
Okay, copy that, a 5-7. November, what a great call. November 9, Delta Delta. Thank you for the 5-7, and I'm sorry I have to give you a 4-4 because it's noisy here in California. So thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt, guys. I really appreciate it. And the other station that you're talking with, can I get a signal report from them?
Yeah, I had some questions to ask you too. KN6WM in the group, K5DOB. You're 10 over here. What's your radio?
K5DOB, KN6, Echo Whiskey Mike. And you're a 5-9, 10 over. You're strong too. I am talking on a fairly new to me FT 1000D Mark V. Completely barefoot, putting out about 200 watts. With a homemade 2040 Van Dyke hole up on the roof, about 40 feet above the roof. My elevation is 1,100 feet above sea level, and like I said, the antenna is another 40 feet above that.
Well, yeah, antenna's doing you a good job at elevation. Sure does help. You sound a little nasal. I was just curious. What's your microphone?
Well, it's probably my nasal. I'm cranked up the processor. I can crank that back, but it's the standard MD1. I had this fancy boom mic on here with all this phantom power and stuff, but this old Yaesu mic just seems to work just fine, unless you tell me different.
Yeah, I couldn't hear that last part. You started fading. Another station started fading in. I thought maybe it's MD100. They turn all the switches off. But the MD1, there's some of those where you twist something in the mic. You can change your trebles and your bass. And just pass that on. Of course, you got a mic monitor probably where you hear your audio on your headphones to make it sound a little bit better. It's a little on the nasal mid-range side, not much bass. And I got a good copy on your audio. Okay, I think you were Mike also, so good beating up with you. And of course, I 73s, leave them back there with the original mic down in Atlanta, Georgia, KN6WM, K5DOB. And by the way, you look up my call, it's Kilo America 5, Kilo America 5, Delta Oscar Bravo. You see my setup on my 17-page website.
Roger. Okay, so I had you at Kilo 5, Delta Oscar Bravo. Is that not correct?
Kilo America 5, and the name is Jimmy, Jimmy. We're located out here near the southern desert of New Mexico, 25 miles east of White Sands Memorial Desert. Go ahead.
Kilo America 5, Delta Oscar Bravo. Well, thank you very much for the correction. KN6 Echo Whiskey Mike. You guys have a great evening, rest of it, and hope to run across music again soon. KN6 KA5 Delta Oscar Bravo, KN6 Echo Whiskey Mike 73.
Okay, 73. Good night.
All right, I think he bowed out there. KA5DOB and N9DD. You're growing in strength here, Jimmy. You're coming up, tickling the red now, so things are growing for you coming east.
Yeah, a lot of people call me. They want me to adjust their audio. They call me the audio man. I specialize on the 7300 icons, but I do a few other radios. The Yaesus are a little complicated for me, but I'm good with the Kenwoods and some of the others, especially if they got the 8-band equalizer. But I don't know. I started that years ago, and I just hadn't let up. I've done probably 300 to 400 7300 since they came out. Get that broadcast audio quality. I kind of get a kick out of that. Such a little radio, if you ever do get one. email me with your phone number, and we'll find a clean spot. And about 15 minutes or 10 minutes, maybe sound like a broadcast station. Not that your audio is not already sounding that good, because this Flex Radio really puts out great audio. So back to you there, Mike. Over.
Yep, fine business, Jimmy. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, you're the one responsible for all the ICOM sounding so good. It just seems like every 7300 I talk to, and I probably talked to 10 today already, they just work. They just sound great right out of the box. So, yeah, they've got a good setup there, and I agree. They just sound good, and you can have broadcast quality. But you can do that with almost anything if you just put the effort into it. You know, some of the old radios, there's not much you can do with a Hot Water 101 to make the audio good unless you put outboard gear on it. Well, I mean, it doesn't have bad audio, I guess. Let me rephrase that. There's nothing you can do to tweak it. It is what it is. But I always had good sound with it. I still have my original Hot Water 101 Heathkit from when I got licensed, and I had a gentleman who was head of the Heathkit Collectors Club actually send me a mic because I was trying to put it back to stock of everything that was originally there when I got it. And he sent me an original mic, and I had the speaker phone patch that was a part of it. So I got the original mic back on it. We've got it. I'm now looking for an SB 200 or an SB 220 to pick up, just so that I got the thing. I never had an amplifier with it, but I guess I just kind of want to get it so that I can have a full working station and kind of keep it around for nostalgia purposes. So, but you can make anything sound good if you try hard enough. Over.
Absolutely can, especially if it's new external boxes to tweak the audio. They really can. Yeah, there's a lot of those 220s and 221s around. I think I talked to more 220s. I guess they're more plentiful. I don't know, but gosh, some of those things putting out pretty good power. It's amazing. You still get all the parts, and you make the thing almost like a brand new one. I think in some places might even sell the faces for they throw 1,000, 220 and I forget 220 and 221s. Change the knobs out, all that stuff. And a lot of them are changing out to a new fan. There's some of these guys that overhaul these and update them, and they actually change the fan out to a real quiet fan, and it works just as good as the original as far as the airflow. So, boy, I tell you, they've come a long way. So, redoing these older amplifiers up by Heathkit, but at times I wish I had one. I always wanted to buy one. I was frustrated. I spent too much. Worried about buying one, and talked to my Elmer, a blind fella. He said, well, you it depends who built it, the quality of it, how much power it's going to put out and all that. And that scared me. I went and looked at 3 or 4 or 5 of them, but of course they wanted quite a bit of money for them. That was back in the old days. Actually, that was 1980s, around 1980, 83, and I got my ticket. And I was all frustrated about it. I was pretty vocal at home, mumbling about things. And my wife said, well, why don't you just buy a new one? I said, oh, I can't. So I went out and bought a Kenwood 922 brand new from Texas Towers. That was the 430 radio. He said 430 for a year. I told her I need a little better radio. She said, what's your money? So I went out and bought a 940. Had that 922 amp and had a 65-foot tire, big 6-element beam. I was a DX chaser. 3.5 years, she got all upset and told me she was leaving. I said, why are you leaving? She said, because you're on that radio all the time when you're not working. So anyway, I said, what does it take to keep you here? She said, sell all your equipment. I'll give you 3 months. So I sold every bit of it 3 months. And boy, somebody got a real steal on the 922 and that 940 radio that was brand new. But anyway, she was all happy. So I was out of ham radio 30 years. Like the 30 you were talking about. I was out of ham radio. We just got back in. When I retired, we moved out to Dallas from the phone company. I worked at the switch rooms with computer stuff. And moved out here on 3 acres south of Alamogordo, New Mexico. And I waited till 2005, I think, or something, to ask her if I could get back in the hobby. He said, keep it simple. I did for 15 years, and then after that I talked to her to let me have a hex beam on a push-up pole and a better radio, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm glad she let me back in the hobby, but no towers, rotors, no beams, but she didn't like the hex beam of all things. Who would believe it? She liked it because it was round. And then 5 Delta. KA5 DOB. Go ahead, verify.
KA5 DOB, November 9, Delta returning. Yeah, no, fine business on all. And yeah, no, I've been licensed for 40 years and operated under some crazy conditions. You know, back in college, I guess when I had my license for probably 5 or 10 years, I got licensed when I was 14, I guess. So when I originally got my license, or when I was just left the house and out of college, operated with some crazy antennas from dorm rooms and stuff like that were less than fantastic. But I always found a way to try and stay involved and do it because I just enjoy talking and tinkering, and I tend to be a techie geek kind of person. So this gives me a fix on that I've always enjoyed and stuff. But it seems like the more I've been in the hobby, the better the technology gets and the better the drive to operate gets. But fortunately, I have a wife who tolerates it. She's not always happy with it, but she tolerates it, and I know when to back off when I need to, and be accommodating. So, I'm taking a few days off, so I'm just signing up here playing radio tonight. But normally, I'd already be in bed and sound asleep. But yeah, no, they old equipment. I just I don't even know that I want to do all the mods. I mean, the mods on some of those SB200s and SB220s and 221s, just makes for a phenomenal amplifier. Even though the technology is so old, when you update the technology inside. So I don't even know if I wouldn't turn one down, but I also, am willing to take a stock one that needs a little work, because I just want to have a vintage radio that was the way it was, and just kind of something from the late 70s when I got licensed that reminds me of the old days, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm running as far as an amplifier. I just am running the baby brother to yours. It looks like you're running a 1306, and I'm just running the old 600. I keep saying I'm going to get rid of it and upgrade to a 1306. I get the extra 6-meter band, and it just doubles the power basically. So I keep saying I'm going to do that. I just haven't done it yet. I'm looking at either a 1306 or I don't know. There's some Russian amp that I'm kind of interested in, but I just don't know that I want to send my own money overseas and see if I get it back. For the contesting, we use a lot of OM amplifiers, and I just love those. We had an OM 4000A that we use at one of the stations, and that thing just puts out power like crazy, and it just laughs in 1500 watts. It just laughs. We'd run some big RIDI contests, and that's hard on amplifiers, and we got the 4000 just because it had the headroom, and it didn't even work up a sweat running those RIDI contests. So if I had money and was no issue, I'd be owning a 4000A OM, but until then, we'll own the Ameritron, and I think we're going to upgrade to yours here in the near future. Over.
Wow, well, what an amplifier that must be. I would recommend also the Pelstar, a 1K something amplifier, I forget, but I think if you drive it hard enough, it'll hit 1500 watts. This 1306 I have here, it will tap 1500. If I turn my drive up, I'm running at 90 watts. If I hit a 100-watt drive, it usually hits up around 14 to 1500 watts, especially on 20 meters. Not so much on this band for some reason, but they're solid state, and they probably like 20 meters better than the lower bands and the higher bands, is my guess. Kind of like the 3-500 tubes are kind of the same way. They're kind of a 40-meter type tube. So that's interesting. But I thought you said you had the 1300. The 1300 should put out 1,000 watts or better, 1,200.
No, we're just running a 600. Just have the 600 here. I want to upgrade to a 1306 to get the double the power. But yeah, no, we're just running the baby brother to yours, a 600.
Okay. Just ask you, do you have a noise gate on your Behringer?
Yeah, is it getting noisy in the background again?
No. I'm just saying if you got a 1306, those fans make a pretty good little whine when they heat up, and it might be a little bit noisy. So if you have a noise gate on your Behringers, no problem. And like I say, I'm wearing the ProSet 6 headset by Bob Heil. The Heil ProSet 6 headset has the HC6 cartridge that gives me good audio, and I have it over to the left side of my mouth, about 3 fingers from my left cheek, and they say my audio is pretty good with it. So at least I can handle the noise gate with the headset, but I can't with these big diaphragm microphones like the PR40, PR30, I got a PR10, and I got an MC90, and it picks up the amplifier noise so loud, or it's pretty strong, I can't squelch it out with the noise gate, but with the headset I can't squelch it out. So it's, like I say, it's a little bit noisy. It's like having twice the fans you have, but I don't know why I don't use a quieter fan. I wish they would. But I don't know what's going on with the Baritron. But I've had good luck. This thing's built like a tank. I just talk on it with usually about 1,400 watts all the time. And it's held up really well. NN9, Delta Delta, KA5 DOB. Go ahead, Mike.
KA5 DOB, NN9DD returning. Yeah, no, I've had good luck with it, and never really. This is the second one I've owned. I had one and sold it with the envisionment of upgrading, and then never did. So just bought another one, and they've been great amps for me. And like I said, there's a Russian knockoff of an OM 4000 that's about half price. It's still a $3,500 amplifier, and I just. I guess I sit here and go, why do I need an amp like that? I don't have the antennas to support it. That's kind of what I think. So, to me, getting an Ameritron, the only thing, the downside to the Ameritron to me, and you nailed it when you said 90 watts to get full power. That's about what you have to run, 60, 70, 80 watts to get full power. Whereas like with the OM amplifiers, to make legal limit on the 2000As that we run in most of the contest stations, we're running 20, 30 watts on most bands. And on the 4000A, when we were running that in the RIDI contests, you were running 12, 15 watts. So I like that the radio gets to take a break and not really work up a sweat. And the amplifier, is capable of so much more that at 1500 watts, it's not really working up a sweat. So I like running that amplifier because everything gets to take a kind of an easy day and only work at 20 or 30% capacity, and not really put your MRFs or any of the tubes in peril. But inevitably, you find a way to break them if you try hard enough. Over.
Okay, I bought mine for about $28.95 from Gigaparts. Had it on sale, $28.95. I usually buy through DX Engineering, and they matched the price. I called him, and he called Gigaparts to see what the price was, and so they matched the price for me, free shipping. And I'm just looking here at HRO. I pull up Google and type in your model and brand name on Google, and click enter, and then click shopping, and it listed to various prices. Some of them $3,300, but show here that HRO discount price $28.35. That's a really good buy on that 1306. Of course, your amp would sell like hotcakes because everybody wants to go solid state. So I pass that on to you there, Mike. Over.
Oh yeah, no, the last one when I sold it. I think I had it listed for about 20 minutes, literally, and somebody had responded and, almost sight unseen said they'll take it. And he was working on some project where he was joining them together to make a super amp or something with two 600s, but I didn't understand completely what he was doing, but I talked to him on the air a few months ago, and he sounded nice and loud and said it's what he had done with it, so good for him. I don't exactly understand it, but it worked. He's something about he combined both of them into changed some wiring or something, and basically used the power at 2 to get even higher wattage out of them. So it worked for him. But yeah, no, it'll sell quick. And I just want to get a 1306 because it picks up 6 meters, and I don't even care about making 1500 watts because I don't think I have an antenna up on this lot right now, and there's 3 or 4 of them up that have a balun capable of running 1,000 watts or more. So I just like to have 6, 7, 800 watts so that when you need it, you got it. Because with the 600 watt amplifier, it seems like to get to 600, it'll happen on maybe 10 or 15 meters, but it definitely doesn't happen on 40. You can run 400 to 500 watts all day long, but to get 500 to 600, it's a stretch to call it a 600 watt amplifier. But it does the trick, and they say the doubling up to 500 or 600 is where most of the gain is. Because other than that, every time you double, it gets harder. 600 to 1200, you'll pick up 3 dB to 1S unit. Is that worth an extra $2,000? I don't know. You can get a heck of a deal on the Ameritrons and all these other ones. You're looking at $7,000-8,000. So money for power, I think the Ameritrons are a good deal.
Oh, yeah, they're hard to beat. You get parts from them. What's my S units right now? How many S units?
What was that?
What's my signal report right now? My signal on the S units on power?
You're down a little bit, about 5.7, 5.8.
Okay, how much? What did it come up to now?
About 9, right at the 9 to just tickle in the red.
That's the difference between 500 watts and 1,000 watts. 500 first time, 1,000 the second time. And I did a little testing there, just a little blip while you were talking. It took 70 watts to reach 1,000 watts on this amp. And 100 watts is giving me right at 1,300 watts, pretty continuous. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's consistent with what I see on mine. To drive full power, or what the actual full power is. I mean, like I said, I consider full power on this amp about 500 watts. So for me to run 400 plus, I'm pushing 60, 70, 80 watts, depending on the band. And to run 300 watts, 45, 50 watts. So it's, it's a good leisurely pace. And I usually run 300 to 400 because I don't really do much that requires more than that. Excuse me, you need to take a drink more than that. So that's really all I run is, usually in that 400 watt range. KA5 DOB and N9DD for ID.
Okay, and then Delta K5 DOB. I keep my power supply on the floor. I noticed the power supply was what was noisy. This one has dual 50-volt, 50-amp supplies built in it, and it has the single fan on the back, but it put out quite a bit of noise. It actually blows cold air out. It's got a huge heat sink. I called the guy at Marathon. I said, what did you do? Put a block of dry ice in his power supply? And he laughed. But I had to set it over here behind it's a little cabinet, a bookcase cabinet. It's only probably 2 feet tall, maybe 2.5 feet wide. And it's got a solid back on it. So I set the power supply, since it don't have, my power supply for 1306 don't have no meters, so I just set it directly down behind, and you can't hear that thing. Only noise I have is off of these 4 fans. So I have the same exact amplifier you have, except this one has 8 FETs instead of 4. That's the only difference. But been real dependable, and boy, I really hit it hard for his. Talking on it and stuff, DX and calling, talking to down under in Europe places. I got, what was that station I called today? He was on a clothesline at 20 watts. Tunisia, T-U-N-I-S-A in Africa. I've never heard them on, and today they were working at low power, and I heard he was on the DXCC list 3 times. And boy, I couldn't wait to see if they could hear me. And I got him on the first call. Boy, was I happy. He was hard to hear. He was talking on some kind of wire antenna out in the backyard at 20 watts. It was down around 7155. Boy, I tell you, I've been after that dude. I like about 80 more countries getting over 300. I just taking my time. I'll never turn them in for any kind of award. It's a personal thing with me. But I'm hoping someday this new solar cycle opened up 3 weeks ago. And we had solar flares. So maybe when the solar flares start, maybe we'll start getting into that, what is it? Let's see, I forget, 75, 80, and 85 on the solar index. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just be happy to get over 70 on a regular basis. But yeah, 75, 80 is starting to become decent propagation. And yeah, no, I'm like you. I work a lot of DX in contesting. I work a lot of DX sitting here at home, but I don't really count. I mean, if you asked me what my number was, I'd tell you 220, 230 something. But I'd have to go to the logbook to look it up because I don't chase it that religiously. I've got a friend of mine who is, just kind of obsessed with it, and he's only North Korea away from having them all. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I don't know that I would have that much desire or need to work every country, but yeah, he only misses North Korea, so he's hoping that that guy who was going over there a couple of weeks at a time goes back soon. But we'll see. I wish him the best, but if I get to 300 someday, great. If I don't, that's fine too.
Now, I think we hadn't heard from Rocket Man in a good while. They said he was pretty bad sick here a month ago, and then nobody heard of him. They did see somebody that might have looked like him. Of course, a lot of these wigs overseas have people that look similar to him, so if they're assassinated, they don't hit the real guy. So I don't know what's up with that, but hey, that's died down because of all this virus stuff. So I don't know if he's still around or what's going on over there. But it's a shame you never hear no ham radios from that country. And I don't know if we ever will. They ought to mark them off the list, actually. Over.
No, there was I think it was an American, but it may have been somebody else. There's a guy who's been in there a couple of times, and they've allowed to operate. He'll go in for 3 or 4 days, and I don't know if he's there on business or what it is, but he operates, basically a portable setup there and makes, a couple hundred contacts or whatever, and then leaves the country. I'm assuming he's there for work. So there's been some remote or very sparse contacts with him, nowhere near what people would like, because if he would go there and operate on a planned schedule, he'd be one of those, 200,000 plus Q de-expeditions, but I don't see that ever happening. Those who got North Korea and have it confirmed, have a little bit of ham radio history, because it ain't going to happen very often. Over.
Yeah, I don't even have listed on my list, just like I don't think I'm going to ever get them, so I didn't put them on my wanted list. So I'm not going to worry about it, man. I'll tell you, that's why I saw the state was looking for this new cycle. I don't know if you remember it, but back in the late 80s and mid 80s, the SFI index was 195 and 205. And I remember you could talk on 20 meters all night long. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you could talk to Japan or Australia pretty clear. And you could talk to 10 meters to 1 o'clock in the morning. 40 meters was open and clear. And the signals were really pretty strong on 40. So it's, it's something else. Of course, naturally, 15 to 10 was open up during the heat of the day. Even 15 was pretty packed. So pretty amazing to see those kind of numbers. And I'm kind of wondering if all these 3,000 satellites around the Earth is not affecting our signals for the solar activity to come up a little stronger. I have no idea, Mike. It is that DD K85 Delta Oscar Bravo.
K85 Delta Oscar Bravo, November 9 Delta Delta returning. Yeah, no, I don't believe the satellites have too much impact on it. I think they, if anything, it just gives people another challenge. I used to do a lot of satellite work with, an HT. I used to use an 897 because it would put out 20 watts, with the internal battery. And I'd go out in the field with my aero antenna and bounce signals off satellites. And I think I worked 7 or 8 countries doing that. And I was living in Arizona. My dad was living in Wisconsin, and we spoke, for 10 seconds at a time, very briefly a few times. So it's fun. It was interesting. I did it, but it just gives you another challenge, I guess. But I don't think it really interferes with or affects the solar flux. But yeah, I remember those days back in the mid or late 80s. You could, I think it was maybe even the early, it would have been the mid 80s probably. I remember sitting up at virtually all night and talking on 10 meters. And, I remember, even a few years ago, being able to sit there on 20 meters all night long, and it would get really slow during the contest, but you could talk to your friends real easy because the band was wide open. So I look forward to those days coming back, but who knows when that'll be? Probably another couple of years yet before we get to that point, but hopefully faster. But yeah, no, you were talking about fan noise earlier, and yeah, the my my 600. I've got a solid state, or not a solid state. What is it? They got the big heavy linear amplifier and the lighter one. I've got the lighter one that doesn't make a lot of noise. It's got a really quiet fan in it. Plus, I have my. Sorry, I just sat down. I was standing up for comfort. The radio and the amplifiers and everything are kind of on the back side of the room and over there on their own side of the room, so you don't even hear them. You can, if you listen closely, you can hear the relays throwing back and forth when you shut off the when you just unkey it. But you don't hear the noise or the fan noise at all. They're far away, and I don't really worry about the fan noise. And yeah, I've got the Flex has a noise gate in there. What do they call it? A downward expander, which is essentially a noise gate. And then the Behringer has a nice noise gate. I actually turned it up earlier while we were talking because I noticed I was seeing some wiggle in my meters on the Behringer. It wasn't transmitting out the noise, but I was seeing the wiggle. So I just raised the noise gate up so that it wasn't there bothering me. So it seems to be doing the trick. All right, let's shoot it back out there and see if you're still hearing me, Jimmy. KA5 DOB NN9DD.
And I had lost the word. NN9DD K5 DOB. Well, let's see. One thing you might be overlooking on the 1306 is that it includes a DB9 cable. A DB9 cable you can hook up toward your radio and the amplifier. It's a DB9 Delta Baker 9 cable, I think they call it, data cable. And when you you flip your knob to remote or EM on your function switch, and when you punch your buttons on your radio to change the frequency or your bands, it snaps the relay in the amplifier and jumps it to that band. I'm the world's worst when I had the 80 Baker amplifier. I get on the wrong fan and keying up, and the watt meter, the forward meter would move, no power. And I say, 20 meters on the radio and 40 meters on the amp's not going to work. So now I don't have to worry about that problem, and I'm glad. Mike, I guess back to you for final. I may go in here and watch some TV. The wife just flips the TV up. We're all-nighters here, and we start watching Western movies. Sometimes I go to YouTube, type in full movies or Westerns, full movies, and there's a ton of those old Westerns from the 30s and the 40s and 50s that I get a kick out. Most of them are hop-along. Not necessarily restored, though. That's the problem. Some of them are pretty fuzzy. So, anyway, NN9 Delta K5 DOP.
All right, very good, Jimmy. It's been my pleasure chatting with you this evening, and I don't normally talk that long, but thank you, and it was certainly a pleasure. And yeah, I've got the 600 has an interface with the new models. There's the old models of the 600 and the newer ones that you could buy an AR500, which is an interface box. So I have that. So I have the automatic band switching that's built into the 06 models. I just have to run an interface on it on mine, but it works just fine. It actually it's set up so that when I band switch the radio, it sends the signal to the ARI 500 I switch and just changes it right there before I even transmit. So it's a pretty slick little thing, just like what you got. So I like that. I just need to get a fully automatic antenna tuner. I use the AT2K, and it does I can tune a nail if I needed to. Not put out a good signal, but I can make it resonant. But I want to get a full automatic antenna tuner because my only problem is when I'm on the road, I roll remote a lot. I just have a hard time running the amp because my antennas being wires aren't totally able to run where I want to with the tuner in the radio. So we'll figure it out. But have a good night. Find a movie, enjoy it. And we're probably going to pull the plug here in a little bit and head to bed as well. KA5DOB, it's been my pleasure. November 9, Delta Delta.
Okay, say good night to you there. Nice talking to you, Mike. Yeah, I'm kind of long-winded. We have the ATTK, but we parked it in the living room. I got tired of turning knobs, so we bought that HF Auto, Halstar HF Auto, similar tuner. It's got stepper motors, 2 stepper motors for the capacitor and the inductor built inside, and I have it set to tune within 8 seconds. It has a 4-second setting, but it's only to 1.5 SWR. We're at 1.1. That takes 8 seconds to tune. And as I speak, it's actually continually tuning my SWR, like 1.02, 1.05, 1.03. I don't know why it does that, but that's okay with me. It even shows my transmit frequency. It's it's showing 7219 instead of 7220 on the face of it, so I don't pay no attention to that. Now it jumped to 7220. How about that? I guess it knew I was talking about it. But they make awful nice tuners. Old Paul, he's something else. I called him one time, I asked him a little detail. I said, well, how do you program this thing to where you go in on your favorite frequencies? You know, like you would go to bed, you have kind of a favorite area you like. Why don't you read that damn manual? Oh, he's a character, but he sure knows how to build those solid-state amps and tuners. All right, call it quits, I guess, on that. See you later, Mike. Maybe we'll catch you again when the band's nice and clean. And I sure enjoyed talking to you. Indian 9, Delta Delta, K85, QB, 73s. You have a good night and a good tomorrow.
73 and good night, Jimmy. Anyone else? QRZ, November 9, Delta Delta. Wow, there's somebody way down there. I heard somebody come back. I heard my call, and then you faded a little bit. Try it again. This is November 9, Delta Delta. Again, November 9, Delta Delta. One more time. All right, we got you on up there. Kilo Bravo 2, Mike November. Not a super strong signal at all, but you were above the noise level. We'll see if I can get you a second time. Name here is Mike, Mexico, India, Kilowatt Echo Mike, and we're located just south of the city of Atlanta in the state of Georgia. Over.
A lot of static coming in tonight, so you're about 5 by 7. 5 by 7 would be a lot stronger without that static. Nothing you can do about that. Anyway, back to you, Mike. Kilo Bravo 2, Mike November.
Oh, very good. We got most of it. Not quite all of it. Yeah, the static. I don't know. It's kind of a. I guess it's static. It's just. It's not like lightning static. It's just something else, I guess. But atmospheric noise, we'll call it. It's just got the noise floor a little more elevated than it has been the last week. The last week, I really felt we had some great conditions at night. The noise floor was dropping down to 3 or 4, even 5 at a high. And right now it's about 7. So you're a strength of 7, but it's probably going to be like a 4 and 7. Because I'm not quite getting 100% copy, but you're doing all right there from New Jersey. Well, we won't hold it. The conditions aren't that great, but I did hear you call and wanted to try and squeaky in there if we could pull it out, and we were able to. Back to you, KB2, Mike November 9, Delta Delta.
Okay, November 9, Delta Delta. I had your call sign incorrect. Sorry about that. November 9, Delta Delta. Well, thank you very much for the short contact.
All righty, have a good evening. And I don't think I gave you a report. Well, I did give you a 4 and 7. You came up a little bit there. I will put it down as a 5 and 7 because that was a good copy there. So 73 and good night. KB2MN, November 9, Delta Delta. QRZ, anyone else?
73, thank you for the contact.
CQ40, CQ40, CQ40 meters. CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ. This is November 9, Delta Delta, November 9, Delta Delta. Norway 9, Denmark calling CQ and listening.
Ocean 4, Charlie Delta Papa, many thanks, okay, to come back at my call. This is Fox 4, Hotel Radio Mike, operator name Didier, Delta India, Echo Romeo, QSL.
QSL, my name is David, I am in Tennessee, Nashville, and you're coming in at 58 here in Tennessee, QSL.
Yes, QSL, David. Many thanks, okay, for the 58 in Tennessee. Many thanks, 58 in 5257. 55257 with a little QSB, okay, but no problem, I copy you well, David. Many thanks, okay, for this short hello from Tennessee. From my side, I'm situated in central west part of France, 200 kilometers north from the city Bordeaux. 200 kilometers north to Bordeaux, QSL.
Yeah, I've got some little QSB going on the band here. So I'm going to go ahead and say 7-3 to you, and you have a wonderful day. Nice meeting you. That would be 4,
Yes, okay, Kilo, Ocean 4, Charlie Delta Papa, Fox 4, Hotel Radio Mike return. Many thanks, okay, to request at my call. I wish you all the best, okay, stay safe for you and your family, and I hope meet you again. 73 David from Fox 4, Hotel Radio Mike, bye-bye.
November 9, Delta Delta, Norway 9, Denmark.
Kilowatt 2, radio is correct? Oui, merci beaucoup d'avoir répondu à l'appel, merci beaucoup de parler français également. Kilowatt 2 radio de Florida 4 Hotel Radio Mike. Donc le nom d'opérateur est Didier, mais j'ai vu que vous l'aviez noté. Merci beaucoup pour le 59 sur l'état de New Hampshire. Je vous copie également 59 sur le centre-ouest de la France. Je suis à peu près à 200 km au nord de la ville de Bordeaux, QSL.
Fantastique, absolument. Normalement, je utilise 80 mètres. J'utilise maintenant 1000 watts et aussi j'ai antenne verticale con 300 radiales, ils ont dit. Je ne suis pas sûr. Je ne comprends pas très bien en français. Malheureusement, j'ai oublié presque tout mon français depuis j'ai appris la langue en 1961 en école secondaire ici aux États-Unis. So Didier, c'est mon histoire. F4 Hotel Radio Mike K2RR.
Yes, ok, Kilo 2 radio, Florida 4 Hotel Radio Mike reprend. Ok, si, ne vous inquiétez pas, vous parlez très très bien français, je comprends très bien tout ce que vous disiez, il y a vraiment, tout ce que vous dites, excusez-moi, il y a vraiment aucun problème. Donc j'ai bien compris que d'habitude vous faites du 80 mètres avec une antenne verticale avec 300 radians, et que là vous faites actuellement vous êtes sur 40 mètres. Eh bien écoutez, elle fonctionne très très bien. Moi de mon côté, je ne suis pas équipé en 80 mètres. Alors, j'ai seulement une antenne long fil en 80 mètres mais ce n'est pas performant, elle n'est pas assez haute. Elle n'est pas assez haute. Donc voilà, moi je démarre l'activité de 40 mètres, du 40 au 10 mètres. Voilà pour l'information. Autrement, actuellement, j'utilise un Nikon IC 7600 avec 250 watts et l'antenne est une OptiBeam avec deux éléments actifs pour la bande des 40 mètres.
Fantastic, very nice, very nice. Now, maintenant je comprends pourquoi votre Nikon est répond ici maintenant. Fantastic, very nice. Nothing special here on Cataract. I'm using qu'est-ce que j'utilise? I use a two-element Yagi wire and not high, seulement 23-24 mètres up en altitude. So, c'est mon histoire, Didier. It's a pleasure. I don't speak a lot of French, and some French, some Spanish, and some Russian, and I enjoy it. Amateur radio is fantastic. You could use, whatever. I must be tired because peut-être je suis fatigué parce que je parle trop. So, thank you, Didier. A pleasure. And very nice configuration, very nice equipment. Fox 4 Hotel Radio Mike, Kilowatt 2 Radio, microphone à vous.
Ok, Kilowatt 2 Radio, Fox 4 Hotel Radio Mike reprend. Je suis actuellement sur votre page QRZ.com justement et je regardais justement votre antenne verticale pour le 80 mètres avec votre switchbox là, votre switchbox et les 300 radians qui arrivent dessus. Il y a une très belle installation. Une très belle installation et je pense que ça va être très très performant sur la bande des 80 mètres. Ok, écoutez, merci beaucoup d'avoir répondu à l'appel. Je vais vous souhaiter une très bonne nuit, car vous êtes en plein milieu de la nuit chez vous là-bas. Ici c'est le matin, avec une belle journée qui se prépare. Il fait déjà 17 degrés. Ils annoncent 30 degrés au meilleur de la journée. En tout cas, merci beaucoup d'avoir répondu à l'appel. Je vais vous souhaiter une très très bonne journée, de bons contacts radio. Et à très bientôt, je l'espère, en fréquence. Kilo 2 Radio de Florida 4, Hôtel Radio Mike.
On dit 100%. Wonderful. So, thank you very much, Didier. I wish I spoke more French and more other languages, and thank you for the comments on the antenna. And I have a lot of fun. I amuse myself very much. I'm this band and other bands. Thank you. Good morning, my friends. Be well. Fox 4 Hotel Radio Mike. This is Kilowatt 2 Radio. Good morning. À bientôt, mon ami.
Yes, okay, many thanks, and very good night for you, and stay safe. 73, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
November 9, Delta, Norway 9, Denmark.
Yes, okay, November Tango 4 Golf. Okay, many thanks to come back at my call. This is Fox 4 Hotel Radio Mike. Operator name Didier, Delta India, Echo Romeo, Didier QSL. Yes, okay, NT4G, Phosphor HRM, many thanks, okay, Dave, for this information, okay, for your IC 7300. I talk well, okay, no problem at all, I copy you 5 and 9, okay? I copy you 5 and 9 in Central West part of France. I'm running 2-element beam, monoband 40 meters, and my transceiver is the ICOM IC 7600. This is my condition of work with 250 watts. Many thanks, okay, Dave, for this short hello. I wish you all the best, a very good night and good DX. 73 for you and stay safe. November Tango 4 Golf, Foxtrot Hotel Radio Mike. Bye-bye.
November 9, Denmark, Norway 9, Delta.
Again?
November 9, Delta, November 9, Denmark.
November 9, Delta is correct.
Oh, Roger. Thank you, Didier. Beautiful signal, 5-9 into Atlanta. The name is Mike, over.
Yes, okay, Mike, 73. Many thanks, okay, to request at my call, November 9, Delta. Maybe happy to copy you a new time, okay, in 40 meters. I made a contact with you in 2018, okay, in the same band, okay, in 2018, yes, okay, many thanks, okay, to come back on a new time. I copy you 5 and 7, okay, 57. My location not changed, okay, in central west part of France, 200 kilometers north from Bordeaux, QSL?
QSL, just a beautiful signal this morning. We're still in the same place as well. So 73s, and have a great day, Didier. F4 HRM and N9DD, 73, good morning.
Okay, and N9DD, Fox4 HRM return. Okay, many thanks, okay, for this short hello. I wish you a very good night and very good day. And good DX, 73 and stay safe from Florida 4 Hotel Radio Mike. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for the contact. It was a very great pleasure to meet you. I wish you good morning and a good day, and enjoy the weekend. Stay safe. 73, merci beaucoup. Mach 7, Alpha Hotel, Foxtrot 4, Bravo Echo Whiskey, 73. Yes, okay, thanks for the information, Brennan. Have a great day today. Have a great day too. 73, bye-bye, merci beaucoup. Seem to be happy with my old radios, but yeah, everybody seems to have a 7300, and I hear it's a great radio. Do you do a lot of digital work on that?